Tutorial 3. So in this session we are going to talk about Docker and Elastic Container Services and Elastic Container Registry, and also about Amazon Fargate. So in this video I have divided this into three parts. One is about the Docker, introduction about the Docker, and the other one is about Elastic Container Services, and the third video is about Elastic Container Registry. So let's get started. So the main agenda of this tutorial is understanding the basics on Docker. So what is Docker, how we are going to use the Docker, and how is Docker connected to what is the main differentiation between like Amazon Container Services and also the Docker, and also we learn about the Amazon Fargate and Elastic Container Registry. So let's get started. So now if we look into the Docker, so what is a Docker? So Docker is a software like development platform which is used to like the deploy applications, and the idea is that like it's a container technology. So like apps apps are going to be like packaged into a containers. So like, and these like the containers are like a sort of standardization. I mean like it's a sort of standardized, and that means like they run on like any operating system, and they that that apps, once they containerized, they can run on in it run some way, like regardless of where they run. I mean like it could be on any machine. You don't need to have any compatibility issue. Like you won't be having like any compatibility issue while running the Docker. And the behavior is like also predictable, which means that you have less work to do, and it's easier to maintain and deploy, and also like it should work with any kind of language, like any operating system and any technology. So the use cases of the Docker are like the microservices architecture, lift and shift apps from like on premise to the cloud, and anytime you want to run a container. So like that's what we use. So well, this is about what is a Docker. So now let's understand like how the Docker is going to work on the OS. I mean like how the Docker is going to work on the OS level. I mean like the operating systems or any technology. So we have a server, like in our case, let's say we have the EC2 instance here. So in this EC2 instance, it could be any server, any kind of server, like you are like we are going to run the Docker agents, and from the and from there you can start the Docker containers, so that like your first Docker application container may contain the Java application, and your second Docker application may contain the Node.js. Second Docker container may contain the Node.js application, and Node.js application in the third container. Also the Java application like in the fourth container. So they can run multiple times the same. So you can have multiple Docker containers of same Java application, or like multiple Docker containers of the same Node.js application. You can run database within the Docker, for example like MySQL and so on. So from here, like Docker is a very versatile, and from like from a server perspective, all these things are Docker containers. So where do they store? Like they like you can store them in something called a Docker repository. I mean like if I go to the next image, so you see the Docker file here. So like as I mentioned earlier, like Docker is very versatile, and like from a server perspective, all the things are like the Docker containers, so where you can store the Docker images. We can like something like in a Docker repository. So here you can see like the Docker and the Amazon, like the ECS, which is like which is like elastic container services. And okay, so multiple operations. So the first is the Docker hub, and it's a public repository. Oh, and it's a public repository. So here when you like upload a file in the Docker, here when you like upload a file, you will upload that in the Docker container, so it will push that like the file, I mean like it will build that in the Docker container, then it will push that into the Docker repository. So in place of the Docker repository, we can like use the Amazon Elastic Container Services, and we can also pull that image from the Docker repository, and we can run that file in with the Python code, as you see in the architecture here. So this is about the Docker, like how it's going to work in a repository. So if we go back to the container management, Docker container management on AWS, so Amazon ECS, which is Amazon Container Services, which is like the Amazon owns container platform, which was owned by Amazon, which is same as the Docker. And also Amazon Kubernetes service, which is Amazon EKS, and it is managed Kubernetes service, which is an open source platform from Amazon. And also Amazon Fargate, AWS Fargate, which is the serverless container platform which works with the Elastic Container Services and Kubernetes services. It's like a serverless platform where you don't need to take care of the instance or the operating system. So it's one of the beautiful feature from Amazon. And also we have the Amazon Elastic Container Registry, which is used to store the container images. So this is all about the Docker, and this is the information of like the introduction towards the Docker, introduction towards what is a Docker, and how we are going to use the Docker in Amazon AWS.